Hello, welcome back to another edition of the Strictly Muscles Chronicles. My name is Martin. I'm a personal trainer, nutrition coach, and muscle activation technique specialist in Chicago. And I've been putting together these chronicles during the COVID-19 pandemic as a way to provide exercise, nutrition, and mindset practices in order for us to persevere well during the time at home. My purpose is to help guide people to more resilient mental and physical lives. And I believe that nutritious eating, appropriate exercise, and healthy habits are all part of living that life of resilience and purpose. Today, during the Chronicles, I wanted to review hunger awareness and play a game that I've learned through the Precision Nutrition program. Muscle activation techniques, and we're going to go into trunk motion, specifically flexing your spine forward and then extending it backwards and working on how to assess that and then how to address any limits if you feel anything. Finally, I'm going to go over complaining awareness. For nutrition, the last number of weeks we've been really diving into new things for us to focus on. So this week, I wanted to go back and review some of the things we've done, specifically our awareness. In that review, think of it as the spelling is RE-view. A term or approach that I took from the Resistance Training Specialist program, in that whenever we look at information and we update it based on our current lens, we're able to see it and all the information we've gathered over the time to change how to implement it. And so you're constantly going back and reviewing it. And it goes back to that, one of my mantras is you can't learn what you already think you know. So I'm always trying to go back and relearn, review something and see, okay, yeah, I do have that. Or, oh, well, what about this now? What about that? So that's why I wanted to review hunger awareness for the week. And we've done this in the past, but it's been a while. So we're going to play something called the Hunger Game. And again, my Precision Nutrition program has taught me to implement this with my clients. And it's a basic strategy to implement into your meals. So think of on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, you're not hungry at all. And 10, you're your hungriest you've ever been. Prior to all your meals today, if it's 3, if it's 4, I want you just to write down where you are on that hunger scale. Let's not worry about what anything means right now, but write down before. Are you at an 8? You really held off, or you're like, I'm kind of in the middle, but it's dinner time. I've got to eat. And write that down, what that feeling is. Then the second part of today is write down how you feel after or at the end of your meal. Are you at that, I'm not hungry at all, I'm actually full, or did you stop a little bit earlier, like a 2 or a 3, and you're satisfied but not stuffed? Wednesday, I'm going to go ahead and expand on how to dial in your hunger awareness a little bit more using this Hunger Game strategy. Time for exercise. Let's go ahead and keep with the muscle activation technique strategy, but now let's go ahead and implement it for how well your trunk moves. I want to go into trunk flexion, which is essentially curving your spine forward, and trunk extension, extending it or moving it backwards, which is very dependent on where you are in space. Because if I was laying down and I tried to crunch, I'd be going upwards. And if I tried to extend, I'd be going downwards. So it's position specific. But let's just go ahead and flex and extend. Well, how do we assess how well you're flexing or extending? So with MHC, typically what I'll do is I'll have somebody on a table with their legs out in front of them. But what I'm going to do here is just use a chair with my feet firmly planted on the ground. Now what I want to do, I'm going to shift to an angle so you can kind of see what I'm doing. What I'm doing here is I'm going to just turn slightly to the opposite side. So I'm turning to my left, and then what I'm trying to do is flex forward, right between my legs. Then I'm going to go ahead and shift over here. And I'm going to turn slightly to my right leg, and I'm assessing the left side, flexing there. I didn't feel any difference. But you may notice that when you do, turn to your left and you're crunching forward, oh man, I really can't do that side on the right. So we're going to use that as an example in a moment to show you an exercise to do to hopefully increase your muscles' ability to contract and pull you into that position. Well, trunk extension, or extending your spine, okay? Well, let's go ahead and do that. Similar is what I would do here, though, is turn towards the side I want to. So I'm turning to the right, and I'm trying to extend, but I'm not rocking backwards. I'm just extending. So I'm kind of arching my back. And I'm turning to the left, turn to the left again, and extend. So on that one, I actually do feel a little bit limited on my right side. So I'm going to go ahead and do an isometric for that and see if I can improve that by getting the muscles to contract better or a little bit stronger to move me better. So a moment ago, when I showed how to assess your trunk flexion, I said, hey, remember that, how you moved right side to left side. Well, I didn't have a difference, but I did want to show what happens if you do have a difference on, say, your right side. You can't flex forward as well as you can your left side. Well, let's use that as your example of, well, you've got less muscles doing their job to pull you forward in this case. So let's do an exercise to improve your muscles' ability to contract. Isometrics. We've been doing them for the hips. We've been doing it for the upper body, the shoulder. So let's do them here too. What I have is I set this up with my daisy chain, which you can find online. And then I have my carabiner and a handle that I have. What I'm going to do then is just turn slightly to my left, just like what we did for the assessment. I'm in my chair and I have my tailbone essentially against the backrest there. And you notice now I'm flexing forward. Now I might not be, if I could get down to here, well, you might be able to try to see how you can go a little bit further. I'm locking my elbow out, and what I'm going to do is just try to crunch into that. And I'm using my left hand to feel and try to drive that little mental intention towards my right side as I hold into that for 6 seconds. Then I'm relaxing, and I'm going to repeat that 6 times, 6 seconds. And then what you do is you just go, okay, well, let's just assess. So you're just going to turn slightly to the right, flex all the way forward. Turn slightly to the left, flex all the way forward between your knees. Try that out. Please leave a message. Let me know how they're working out for you. Just a moment ago, I showed you how to assess your trunk extension motion. Found that my right side didn't move as well as I do on my left side. So let's just set this up like what we've done over the last couple of weeks. Again, what I just showed you. Well, let's do an isometric for that. If you're at home, I'm going to go ahead and just set this up so I have a chair and I have a bolster against this. I'm using the core pad, but you can use a pillow or something that's pretty firm, multiple pillows or blanket here to give you a little bit more distance. And I just moved up my handle up on the daisy chain, so now I can have a little bit more. I don't have to be so far back, essentially. Then what I want to do here is I'm going to turn just slightly to my right side, and I'm trying to extend backwards. So now on my right side, I'm trying to feel that right along those muscles of your low back. And relax. So 6 seconds. I'm staying turned though. I'm not relaxing and then coming out of it. I'm just going to try to stay here and back. 6 seconds. Repeat 6 times. Last thing I wanted to say on that is remember what I talked about last Friday. Is you're playing that elementary school game of who can punch the lightest with your isometric. So see how softly you can do it. And then once you get down where you're not straining anywhere else except for that target area, well, maybe on the next time you do it, say tomorrow, you might push a little bit harder and you just get more and more awareness of how your body is moving and how it's contracting. Today's mindset practice, I want to share a little bit of what I'm working on in my focus right now, and that is complaining. I probably haven't been a big complainer anyway, but I thought it was like, well, why not get a little bit better with not complaining? So over a month ago, I started wearing this bracelet, and it's a way, I'm using it as a way for every time I catch myself complaining or saying something out loud complaining, I switch it over to the other wrist. So, I made it up to about 6 or 7 days then before I switch it. So the goal is to get to like 21, 30 days. Well, over the weekend, I read an article called Stop Glossing Over the Good Stuff. And it essentially adds to the bracelet. When I catch myself complaining And if I'm in a conversation, it'll be pretty awkward, but I'll have to do it. Where if I'm complaining to somebody, I'll go, oh, I notice myself, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to list 3 good things about my day. So the goal is to just get better in becoming an awareness, just like we talk about with the hunger awareness. Well, let's go ahead and get aware of, a habit. Personally, I think as a habit, it's complaining, to decrease it. I'm not going, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go, oh, I'm aware of it. Now you just slowly build up the habit of not doing it as much through little triggers and practices. So I'm going to put that article in the show notes, so enjoy it. And if you have any strategies that you use to eliminate or complain less, please share them in the comments.